The massive scout ship of the Galactic Empire hung silently in the darkness of space, its sensors focused on the blue-green planet below. Captain First Class Miller stood at his observation post, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing Earth. After 10,000 years of undisputed rule over the galaxy, the Empire had gotten used to finding new civilizations. But something about this one made Miller's skin crawl. "Sir, we've completed our initial scan of their communication channels," reported the junior officer at the scanning station. "They're still using primitive radio waves for most transmissions. No quantum entanglement, no psychic links, not even basic faster-than-light communication." Miller nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving the display. "And their space presence?" "Minimal, sir. A few orbital stations, some colonies on their moon and Mars. Nothing that could challenge even our smallest warship." That should have been reassuring. It was the same story they'd seen 1,000 times before. A young species just starting to reach for the stars, ready to be absorbed into the Empire's perfect order. But something felt wrong. "Show me their military broadcasts," Miller ordered. A holographic display filled with images that made several bridge officers gasp. Tanks rolling across deserts, aircraft carriers cutting through vast oceans, submarines hiding in the depths, soldiers fighting in every kind of terrain imaginable. "Sir," the weapons officer spoke up, his voice shaking slightly. "In the past local year alone, we've detected over 50 different types of weapons being tested. Their rate of military innovation is unprecedented." Miller's face grew grim. "How many wars have they fought?" "We're still counting, sir. In just the past 200 years of their history, we've identified over 50 major conflicts and hundreds of smaller ones. They fight differently in each one. New tactics, new weapons, new strategies. They adapt at an alarming rate." The bridge fell silent. In the Empire's 10,000 years of existence, they had fought fewer wars than these humans had in 2 centuries. The Empire's military doctrine had remained largely unchanged for millennia. Because it worked. Because it was perfect. Or at least, that's what they had always believed. "Sir," called out another officer, "you need to see this. We're detecting thousands of what appear to be simulated conflicts." "Simulated?" Miller moved to the officer's station. "Yes, sir. They call them video games and war games. They spend their leisure time imagining new ways to fight. Even their children participate in combat simulations." Miller felt a chill run down his spine. A species that treated war as entertainment, that constantly practiced and imagined new ways of fighting. In all his years serving the Empire, he had never encountered anything like it. He turned to his communication officer. "Connect me to High Command. Priority channel." Minutes later, Miller stood before the holographic projections of the Empire's High Command. He reported his findings, emphasizing the humans' unusual capacity for warfare and adaptation. But as he spoke, he could see the dismissive looks on their faces. "Captain Miller," the High Commander's voice dripped with condescension, "you seem unusually concerned about a primitive species that hasn't even mastered faster-than-light travel. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Their weapons are laughably primitive. What possible threat could they pose to the Empire?" "Sir, with respect, it's not their technology that concerns me. It's their mindset. Their ability to adapt and innovate. Enough." The High Commander cut him off. "Your concerns are noted, Captain. But the Empire has stood for 10,000 years. We have conquered species far more advanced than these humans. Prepare the standard conquest protocols. I expect your next report to announce their surrender." The transmission ended, leaving Miller alone with his thoughts. He looked back at the image of Earth, still rotating peacefully in the holographic display. They looked so harmless from up here. So primitive. So easy to conquer. But as he watched another weapons test light up a small portion of their planet's surface, Miller couldn't shake the feeling that the Empire was about to learn a very painful lesson about underestimating humanity. "May the eternal stars help us all," he whispered to himself, if we push these humans into a corner. The United Earth Defense Council chamber was silent as they watched the massive alien ship descend through Earth's atmosphere. Admiral Thomas stood at the window, his weathered face reflecting in the glass as he studied the vessel's approach. 20 years in Earth's Space Force had taught him one thing: nothing was ever as simple as it seemed. "They're broadcasting their message again," announced the communication officer. "They call themselves the Galactic Empire and demand an immediate audience with Earth's leaders." Thomas turned to face the council members seated around the large oak table and our deep space scans. Dr. Wright, head of Earth's Defense Technology Division, pulled up a holographic display. "The ship they sent. It's not just a diplomatic vessel. We're detecting enough weapon signatures to level a continent. They're hiding them behind some kind of energy field, but our new quantum sensors can see right through it." The council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Humanity had suspected they weren't alone in the universe, but their first contact was turning out to be exactly what they had feared: not peaceful explorers, but conquerors. "How many ships in total?" Thomas asked, his voice steady. "We've detected a fleet of over 1,000 ships just beyond Mars' orbit," Dr. Wright replied. "They're trying to hide using some kind of cloaking technology, but they didn't expect us to have gravity wave detectors. They're out there, just waiting." Thomas nodded slowly. The Empire clearly expected this to be easy. They weren't even trying very hard to hide their true intentions. They thought Earth was primitive and defenseless. They had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this moment for over a century. "Sir," called out another officer, "the Empire ship is requesting landing coordinates for their diplomatic party." Thomas turned to the council president. "Your orders, sir." The president stood, straightening his simple black suit. "We play along. Let them think we're the primitive species they expect." Admiral Thomas, implement Defense Plan Delta. Across Earth and throughout the solar system, hidden preparations began. Orbital defense platforms disguised as communication satellites silently powered up. Stealth submarines deep in Earth's oceans activated their missile systems. Underground bunkers housing humanity's most advanced weapons came to life. Hours later, Thomas stood in the grand meeting hall, watching as the Empire's diplomatic party entered. Their leader, tall and dressed in ornate robes, carried himself with the arrogance of someone used to being obeyed without question. "People of Earth," the Empire diplomat began, his words automatically translated by their technology, "we bring you a great opportunity. The chance to join the Galactic Empire, to serve under our benevolent rule. Resist, and you will be crushed. Submit, and you may live as our subjects." Thomas noticed Captain Miller standing behind the diplomat, looking increasingly uncomfortable. At least one of them seemed to understand that things weren't as simple as they appeared. "And if we choose not to submit?" Thomas asked calmly. The diplomat's face hardened. "Then you will face the full might of the Empire. Your primitive weapons cannot hope to match our technology. We have ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. You have barely reached your own moon." Thomas allowed himself a small smile. "I see. And those weapons you've hidden in your diplomatic vessel, the fleet you're trying to hide beyond Mars, are those part of your peaceful proposal?" The diplomat's expression flickered for just a moment. Surprise, quickly masked by anger. "You dare accuse." "We dare many things," Thomas interrupted. "Humanity has spent centuries preparing for this moment. We fought countless wars among ourselves, developed weapons you can't imagine, and built defenses you haven't detected. This is your one warning. Leave our solar system. Now." The diplomat's laugh was cold. "You primitive fools. You have no idea what you're facing. You have one planetary day to surrender, or we will demonstrate the true power of the Empire." As the diplomatic party left, Captain Miller lingered for a moment, catching Thomas's eye. There was something in his look, a warning, perhaps even respect. Thomas turned to his communication officer. "Send word to all commands. Operation Hornet's Nest is now active. Let's show the Empire why humanity has survived everything our own world could throw at us. Around Earth and throughout the solar system, humanity's forces prepared for war. The Empire was about to learn that appearances could be very deceiving indeed. The Empire's attack began exactly as they had promised. Their massive warships appeared above Mars, weapons charging for what they planned as a simple demonstration of power. They expected it to be quick, clean, and devastating, a lesson to teach the primitive humans their place in the galaxy. They were wrong. Enemy ships in position, reported the tactical officer in the hidden Mars Defense Command bunker. They're targeting the main colony dome. Admiral Stone watched the holographic display, his face illuminated by the red dots representing Empire ships. They had taken position in a perfect attack formation, exactly as their military doctrine demanded, exactly as humanity had predicted they would. Launch the swarm, Stone ordered quietly. Deep beneath the red Martian soil, hidden launchers roared to life. Thousands of tiny drones, each no bigger than a coffee cup, burst from the ground. They had been designed to look like debris, like primitive attempts at technology. The Empire's sensors barely registered them. That was their first mistake. Swarm reaching attack positions, the tactical officer announced. Ready on your command. Stone allowed himself a small smile. Execute. The drones struck as one. Each carried a tiny but powerful electromagnetic pulse generator, designed specifically to target the frequency of Empire shield systems. As the pulses hit, shield after shield flickered and died. The Empire fleet commanders barely had time to register their surprise before the second wave hit. Orbital defense platforms decloaking, called out the tactical officer. All weapons locked on target. Hidden in the asteroid belt, disguised as simple rocks, humanity's true orbital weapons revealed themselves. Rail guns, plasma projectors, and gravity bombs, weapons the Empire had dismissed as impossible for such a primitive race to possess. The space above Mars erupted in chaos. Sir, an Empire officer shouted on their command ship. Multiple weapon signatures. They're not using standard energy weapons. We can't track their trajectories. The Empire commander watched in horror as his perfect formation broke apart under the assault. Their ships had been designed to defend against energy weapons, against the known weapons of the galaxy. But these humans, they were using physical projectiles accelerated to impossible speeds, gravity distortion fields that their sensors couldn't properly read, and tactics that made no sense. Stone's voice remained calm as he issued orders. Launch fighters. Pattern Delta 7. From hidden bases across Mars and the asteroid belt, Earth's space fighters emerged. They were smaller than Empire ships, faster, and piloted by humans who had spent their entire lives training in combat simulators. They moved in ways the Empire's combat computers couldn't predict, using maneuvers that their pilots had learned from video games and combat simulations. This is impossible. The Empire commander raged as another of his ships reported critical damage. They're supposed to be primitive. Their weapons shouldn't be able to hurt us. Captain Miller stood at his post on the Empire command ship, watching the disaster unfold. Sir, he tried one last time. We should retreat. Regroup. Rethink our approach. Silence. The commander snapped. We cannot be defeated by primitives. Launch the planet killer. We'll show them what happens to those who resist the Empire. Miller's face went pale. Sir, that's against all protocols for first contact. But it was too late. The Empire's massive planet killer weapon began to power up, its energy readings off the scale. Stone watched the readings with calm eyes. They took the bait, launched the virus. Across the battlefield, the tiny drones that had seemed destroyed were transmitting. Each carried a small portion of a computer virus, designed to infiltrate and overwhelm Empire systems. As their shields had dropped, the virus had spread through their network. The planet killer's energy readings suddenly spiked, then collapsed. Across the Empire fleet, ships began losing power. Direct hit to their command and control systems, reported the tactical officer. Their fleet is blind and deaf. Stone nodded. Launch boarding parties. Let's show them how humans fight up close and personal. As Earth's Marines prepared to board the disabled Empire ships, Stone looked at the battle display. This was just the beginning, he knew. The Empire wouldn't take this defeat lightly. But humanity had spent centuries preparing for war among the stars. They were ready. The Empire's Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace like a storm of angry stars. 5,000 warships, each larger than Earth's biggest cities, filled the space between Jupiter and Saturn. This was no simple conquest fleet. This was the Empire's elite fighting force, undefeated in 10,000 years. In the Empire's command ship, the Grand Admiral stood before his assembled commanders. These humans have insulted the Empire. They have destroyed our ships. They have dared to resist our rule. Now, we will show them true power. Captain Miller watched from his position near the back of the room. He had been reassigned after the Mars disaster, but his warnings still went unheard. "Sir," he spoke up, "we should consider that the humans might have more surprises waiting." Silence. The Grand Admiral's voice boomed. "Your cowardice nearly infected the First Fleet. This time, we will do things properly. Launch all ships. Full attack formation." On Earth, Admiral Thomas received the reports of the massive fleet's arrival, but instead of fear, there was a glint of anticipation in his eyes. "They brought their elite fleet," he said to his staff, "just as we hoped. Captain Robert, are your teams ready?" Robert, leader of Earth's Special Operations, nodded. His teams had spent weeks studying the captured Empire ships from the Mars battle. "Ready, sir. Operation Trojan Horse is go." The Empire fleet advanced with perfect precision. Their energy weapons could glass entire continents. Their shields could withstand the impact of small moons. They were the pinnacle of military technology, and they were flying straight into humanity's trap. "First wave entering Jupiter's orbit," reported Earth's tactical officer, reading massive energy buildup in their weapons. Thomas nodded. "Launch the bait." What appeared to be a ragtag fleet of civilian ships emerged from behind Jupiter's moons. They looked like desperate refugees, fleeing Earth's defenses. The Empire fleet commanders laughed at the sight. "Pathetic," the Grand Admiral sneered. "Watch how real warriors deal with prey. All ships, open fire." But as the Empire's energy weapons fired, something impossible happened. The civilian ships didn't explode. Instead, they absorbed the energy through hastily attached panels, technology reverse-engineered from the captured Empire ships. "Now," Thomas ordered. The civilian ships suddenly changed course, accelerating at speeds that should have torn them apart. They had been gutted and rebuilt, turned into massive kinetic weapons. Their hulls were filled with a mixture of Earth metals and materials taken from Empire ships. They slammed into the Empire fleet's formation before the shields could readjust to physical impacts. Explosions rippled through space as the hybrid weapons detonated. "Impossible." The Grand Admiral watched in horror as his perfect formation broke apart. "These are just primitive." "Sir," an officer interrupted, "we're detecting small objects approaching through the debris field." Hidden in the wreckage of the civilian ships, thousands of tiny pods had emerged. Each contained a team of Earth's special forces, led by Captain Robert. They had trained for months in zero-gravity combat, using simulation after simulation to perfect their tactics. The pods attached to Empire ships like angry wasps. Cutting beams, again built from stolen Empire tech, sliced through hull plates. Earth's soldiers, wearing powered armor of their own design, poured into the ships. Multiple ships reporting boarders. Empire officers shouted in panic. They're using our own weapons against us, but modified, improved somehow." Miller watched the tactical display with a mix of horror and admiration. The humans hadn't just copied Empire technology. They had improved it, adapted it, combined it with their own innovations in ways the Empire had never imagined possible. "Fall back," the Grand Admiral finally ordered, his voice shaking. All ships, emergency retreat. But it was too late for many of the Empire's proud ships. Earth's forces had taken control of key vessels, using them to fire on their former allies. The perfect formation of the Dominion fleet had become a chaotic mess of individual battles. Thomas watched from his command center as the Empire's elite fleet retreated in disorder. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Phase 2 begins now. It's time to take the fight to their territory." The war for humanity's freedom was far from over. But now, for the first time in 10,000 years, the Empire knew what it meant to feel fear. In a heavily guarded underground facility on Earth, Dr. Anna walked between rows of captured Empire technology. Her team had been working nonstop for weeks, taking apart everything from Empire weapons to their coffee machines. The results had been fascinating. Dr. Anna called one of her engineers. "You need to see this. We've figured out how their faster-than-light drives work." She rushed over to the testing chamber. On the workbench lay the remains of an Empire engine, its parts carefully labeled and reorganized. But next to it sat something new, something that made her smile. "How much faster is our version?" she asked. 30%. We removed their safety protocols and added our own cooling system. It's not as pretty, but it works better. This was humanity's secret weapon, not their guns or their ships, but their ability to take something, understand it, and make it better. The Empire had used the same technology for thousands of years. Humans looked at it and immediately asked, "How can we improve this?" Meanwhile, in orbit around Earth, Admiral Thomas received the latest battle reports. The Empire's forces were falling back across every front. Their perfect formations were breaking. Their flawless strategies were failing. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "Dr. Anna's team has finished upgrading our captured ships. The new hybrid fleet is ready." Thomas nodded. The ships they'd taken from the Empire had been completely rebuilt. Human ingenuity combined with Empire technology had created something entirely new, something the Empire had never seen before. On the Empire's capital world, Captain Miller stood before the High Command once again. But this time, they were listening. "In just 3 months," he reported, "the humans have not only learned to use our technology, but have improved upon it. They've taken our weapons and made them more powerful. They've modified our shields to be more efficient. They've even enhanced our faster-than-light drives." The Empire commanders shifted uncomfortably in their seats. This was unprecedented. No species had ever adapted so quickly. "And their tactics?" asked the High Commander, his voice no longer carrying its usual arrogance. "Unpredictable. They don't follow any standard military doctrine. Each commander develops their own strategy. They share information, learn from each other, and constantly create new ways to fight." Back on Earth, Dr. Anna's team made another breakthrough. They had discovered how to combine Empire energy weapons with human railgun technology. The result was a hybrid weapon that could switch between energy and physical attacks, making it impossible to defend against both at once. "Begin mass production," Thomas ordered when he saw the test results. "Refit all ships with the new weapons." The Empire's response to these developments was predictable. They sent even more ships, tried even harder to overwhelm Earth's forces with sheer numbers. But humanity had learned from every battle. Earth's smaller, faster ships darted between the massive Empire vessels. Their hybrid weapons switched from energy beams to physical projectiles and back, confusing Empire shields. Their improved engines let them perform maneuvers that Empire ships couldn't match. "This is impossible," an Empire commander shouted as another of his fleets retreated in defeat. "They're using our own technology against us, but better than we ever could." Captain Miller watched the latest battle recordings with a grim expression. He had tried to warn them, had tried to explain that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or their technology. It was their endless drive to improve, to adapt, to overcome any challenge. "Sir," a junior officer reported to Thomas, "the Empire's forces are retreating from the entire sector. We've broken their main defense line. Thomas looked at the tactical display, showing the positions of Earth's forces pushing deeper into Empire space. Send word to all ships, he ordered. Operation Thunderstrike begins now. It's time to take the fight to their home systems. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years, but they had never faced an enemy like humanity. An enemy that didn't just fight back, but got stronger with every battle. The tide of war had turned, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Empire's citizens had never seen war on their own worlds. For 10,000 years, fighting had always happened somewhere else, against someone else. But now, they watched in terror as human ships appeared in their skies. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of his flagship, now a hybrid of human innovation and Empire technology. The ship had started life as a civilian cargo vessel, but had been transformed into something the Empire's sensors couldn't quite understand. All ships report ready, his tactical officer announced. Operation Thunderstrike is go. The human fleet didn't attack the way the Empire expected. There were no massive energy weapon bombardments, no huge fleet formations. Instead, small groups of ships appeared and disappeared, striking critical targets and vanishing before the Empire could respond. Another fuel depot destroyed. Sir, reported Captain Robert via secure channel. His special forces teams had become experts at infiltration. The Empire's ships in this sector will be grounded within days. Stone nodded. This was how humans had always fought, not with brute force, but by attacking supply lines, communications, and infrastructure. The Empire had never faced an enemy who thought this way. On an Empire core world, panic spread through the streets as the planetary defense systems suddenly shut down. Dr. Anna's latest virus, carried by seemingly harmless civilian communication signals, had done its work. Sir, an Empire officer reported to his commander, we're getting surrender requests from 3 more systems. Their populations, they're asking for human protection. The Empire's hold on its territory was breaking. For millennia, they had ruled through fear and overwhelming force. But now their subjects were seeing something new. Humans didn't try to dominate the worlds they captured. Instead, they offered alliances, trade, and protection. This is how we win, Thomas had explained to his commanders. Not by destroying the Empire, but by showing the galaxy a better way. Captain Miller, still serving in the Empire fleet, watched as another defensive line collapsed. Human ships seemed to appear from nowhere, using modified cloaking technology that worked better than the Empire's original designs. Sir, he reported to the High Command, the humans are now using converted civilian ships as their main attack force. Our sensors can't tell the difference between a harmless trader and a warship until it's too late. The Empire's response was predictable. They tried to ban all civilian ship traffic, but this only made things worse as their economy began to crumble. The humans had turned the Empire's own rigid thinking into a weapon against them. Stone's fleet approached another Empire world, but this time there was no resistance. The planetary governor had already sent a surrender message. More and more Empire worlds were doing this, seeing the writing on the wall. They're learning, Stone remarked to his staff. Maybe there's hope for them after all. In Earth's research facilities, Dr. Anna's team made another breakthrough. They had found a way to improve the Empire's communication technology, allowing for faster and more secure transmissions. The discovery was immediately shared with allied worlds. This is what the Empire never understood, she explained to her team. Progress doesn't come from keeping things the same. It comes from constant improvement, from trying new things. The Empire's mighty Dominion fleet, once the terror of the galaxy, now avoided direct combat with human forces. They had learned the hard way that superior technology meant nothing against superior tactics and adaptability. Another Empire battle group has surrendered, reported Stone's tactical officer. They're requesting permission to defect to our side. This was perhaps humanity's greatest victory, not destroying the Empire's forces, but convincing them to change. More and more Empire ships were choosing to join the humans, drawn by their spirit of innovation and freedom. Thomas received the latest reports with satisfaction. The Empire's territory was shrinking daily, not through destruction, but through choice. Their own people were rejecting 10,000 years of stagnation in favor of humanity's dynamic approach. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Begin Phase 3. It's time to end this war." The Empire had started this conflict expecting an easy victory over primitives. Instead, they had awakened a force that would reshape the galaxy. The Empire's High Council chamber had never felt so quiet. For 10,000 years, this room had been the center of galactic power. Now, its members sat in stunned silence as they watched the latest battle reports. Captain Miller stood before them, delivering his final analysis. He was no longer the ignored voice of caution. Now he was perhaps the Empire's greatest expert on human warfare. "In 6 months," he reported, "the humans have captured or turned 1/3 of our territory. Not through brute force, but through a combination of superior tactics, improved technology, and diplomatic influence." The High Commander, his once proud voice now tired, looked up. "How do they keep defeating our best ships? Our technology is still superior in many ways." Miller activated a holographic display showing a human attack on an Empire fortress. "They don't think like us. Watch how they converted these civilian mining ships into weapons platforms. They're not bound by traditional military doctrine. Every commander is free to try new ideas, and they share what works." In Earth's command center, Admiral Thomas received word that another group of Empire worlds was requesting to join the human alliance. The pattern was always the same. Once people saw how humans operated, they preferred freedom and innovation to the Empire's rigid control. "Sir," his communication officer reported, "we're receiving a signal from the Empire's capital. They're requesting a ceasefire. They want to negotiate." Thomas shared a look with Dr. Anna, who had been working on new improvements to their hybrid ships. "Send word to all commands," he ordered. "Hold positions but maintain combat readiness. We've seen how the Empire thinks. Trust, but verify." Back in the council chamber, Miller continued his report. "The humans have taken our technology and improved it in ways we never imagined. Their ships are faster, their weapons more effective, their tactics unpredictable. But their greatest weapon isn't their technology. It's their mindset." He showed more battle footage. "They never stop innovating, never stop improving. Every defeat teaches them something new. Every victory gives them new ideas. They've done more to advance military technology in 6 months than we did in 1,000 years." The council members watched as human ships performed maneuvers that Empire ships couldn't match, using hybrid technology that confused their sensors. They saw Empire crews surrendering not out of fear, but out of admiration for human ingenuity. "We have 2 choices," Miller concluded. "Continue fighting and watch our Empire crumble, or adapt and learn from them." The High Commander stood slowly. "Send the message to all remaining Empire worlds and ships. All forces are to cease hostile actions against human ships immediately." He turned to his staff. "And prepare a galaxy-wide broadcast. The people need to know." Hours later, screens across thousands of worlds lit up with the Empire's message. "To all civilized species of the galaxy, this is a warning. Do not attempt hostile action against the species known as humans. They are not primitive. They are not weak. They are the most dangerous species we have ever encountered, not because of their weapons, but because of their minds. They do not think like other species. They do not fight like other species. Every defeat makes them stronger. Every challenge makes them more determined. They turn their enemies into allies, their weaknesses into strengths, and their defeats into victories. The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We have conquered countless species, defeated countless armies. But we have never faced anything like humans. They have forced us to confront a terrible truth, that we have become stagnant, rigid, unwilling to change. As of today, the Empire announces a new policy. We will negotiate with the humans as equals. Those worlds that wish to join their alliance may do so. Those that wish to remain with the Empire will see changes. We must learn from humanity's example or face extinction. Captain Miller watched the broadcast with a mix of relief and admiration. He had tried to warn them from the start. Now, finally, they understood. Humanity wasn't just another species to be conquered. They were a force of change that would reshape the galaxy. Admiral Thomas received the Empire's surrender with characteristic calmness. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them the war is over, and send thanks to every commander, every soldier, every scientist who made this possible. This victory belongs to all of humanity." The galaxy would never be the same. The age of the Empire was over. The age of human innovation had begun.